What's up everyone, back for another beer review, and today I'll be reviewing a beer from Trapp Brewing, and they're out of Stowe, Vermont, and this is their Oktoberfest. So this is a Märzen-style Oktoberfest that comes in at 5.6% alcohol by volume, 35 IBUs at the time of review. I don't know exactly how old this can is, but it does have a best by date on the bottom of the can of November 26, 2020. So as I'm reviewing this beer right now, that is about just over 2 months away. So I'd assume this is quite fresh. Most of the domestic Oktoberfest beers that are bottled or canned in the US are usually thrown into their package typically sometime in August. So I would say this can is probably about a month old, but probably no older than 6 weeks old. So I'd imagine it's quite fresh. Whatever, we're good. So Trapp, super excited to not only review this one, but I have a few more from them because we here in the Western New York area have finally gotten some distribution from them, and I'm super pumped. Now, about a year ago, I saw them show up in Rochester, New York, which is about an hour and a half away from Buffalo. And I was hoping that they would show up here because I've heard so many good things about them, courtesy of good friends of mine and fellow beer tubers like the guys over at Nerd Sense, Sean and Mike. They really like it, especially Sean really likes Trapp stuff. I just heard really good things about them. They basically are a lager-only brewery, kind of like Jack's Abbey. I reviewed their Jack's Abbey's Mosaic Brow yesterday, and I spoke about how much I enjoyed their beers because they're something different, lagers only, and that's what Trapp does. And Trapp does most of their stuff like, you know, authentic European lagers, like Austrian lagers and also like German lagers. That's what they do. And I also have their Helles lager, I have their Dunkel, and I have their Kolsch. So I'm really excited to give them all a go. They also have a Pilsner, which I was not able to grab. Definitely pick that up at some point. So this is 5.6% ABV, 35 IBUs, like I said. They say a true full-bodied Oktoberfest lager, dark in color with a fine caramel finish. Brewed on the grounds of Trapp Family Lodge in Stowe, Vermont, this beer is crafted with the finest traditional ingredients in our pure Vermont spring water. So anytime an Oktoberfest beer says full-bodied, I usually think full-bodied for the style, like a 5.6% beer, because more often than not, they're like medium-bodied. So we'll see, whatever. But like I said, this is a Märzen, not a fest beer, and I'm super pumped to get into this one. So let's crack it open, get into the glass, see what we got going on. So yeah, this is going to have the amber colors, a Märzen, not a fest beer. And I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit sweeter, but you know, still have a good balance, hopefully, to it. That's the whole point, right? Throw this over here. I really like their cans, very simple. They have the same theme to them and everything. It's pretty fantastic. So yeah, that has this like deeper amber color to it. It's not super filtered though. It has a little bit of murkiness to it, about a 1.5 to 2 fingers of this light tan kind of colored head. Soap sudsy looking, bigger bubbles. Looks fine. Let's get a nose. So a couple days ago, I did the Two Roads one, and in that review, I said how, like, stylistically it was a bit too sweet. Like there was a honey finish on the back end, which can happen in you know, Oktoberfest beers. But for me, typically you have a pretty clean finish to them, and the sweetness is usually up front. And if you do have a finish of a sweetness on the back end, it still has a clean finish. That one was a little bit cloying, and I couldn't drink a lot of them. So when they say a fine caramel finish in this one, I'm hoping it's not, you know, overdone. But yeah, caramel, toffee, white bread, a little bit toasted kind of character to it. The hop presence is more of like an earthy floral thing, not really spicy. This smells to me, now like the Two Roads, smelling the two, this one smells like a more traditional Märzen that I'm used to, like a German born and bred one. Just has that kind of feel to it. Yeah, it smells pretty good. Let's get into it. Cheers, everyone, or should I say Prost. Yeah, so the finish of this one, a little bit of sweetness, but it's pretty fucking clean. I like it. Body of this one, it is medium body, full bodied. I guess for the style you could say full body, but to me, a full bodied beer is, I don't know, like an Imperial Stout at 10%. That's like thick and chewy and viscous and almost motor oil. That's full bodied. To this though, if you're talking about 5.6% Oktoberfest, yeah, this is full bodied, but it's medium bodied. The mouthfeel is crisp, but this has some, the carbonation is a little bit lower than most within the style. It has more of a like soft, smooth kind of feeling to it. Don't get me wrong, it's carbonated, but it doesn't have like that spritzy, effervescent, like dancing on the tongue type of carbonation. It has carbonation, it's just not over the top. Body and mouthfeel really nice. The taste right up front, caramel, toasted brown bread, not really toffee, but caramel, toasted brown bread. A little bit of like a cereal grain kind of sweetness too. Pass through the palate, mid-palate, earthy, floral. The hops hit. This has a semi-dry finish to it. Some residual sweetness, more of like that caramel. They said caramel finish, sure. But that combines with that semi-dry kind of finish. So the reason the finish is semi-dry is because that sweetness is there, right? Otherwise, it would just be bone dry, or it would be not dry at all if there's too much sweetness. It has a slight mild like bitterness to it, like in between mild and moderate. Can taste 5.6%. Shout out to the train. Yeah, this is a crusher. So, reviewing this one a couple days after the Two Roads offering, you're reminded, or I'm reminded, that not all Oktoberfests are created equally, even beers within either sub-style, the Märzen or the Fest beer, because the Two Roads one compared to this one, I like the Two Roads one. I give it a personal score of 3.75 or 3.7 out of 5. I liked it personally. I thought stylistically it was like a 3.5. This is better to me stylistically than most of the domestic beers that you get within the Oktoberfest style. In the US, it's just, this is good. I could drink a ton of them. It's not going to be too sweet. Even though this is a Märzen where it has a little bit more of a fuller body, and I think a little bit more sweetness. Typically with Fest beers, they're lighter, they're crisper, a little bit more hop forward. This has a great balance to it, very easy to drink, and I like that it's not overly complex. I mean, caramel, toasted like brown bread, a little bit of that floral earthy thing, and that's really it. I mean, it's very simple, very simplistic in its execution, but damn, is it pretty good. So the first beer I've ever had from Von Trapp, damn good one. Stylistically, if you're talking about a Märzen-style Oktoberfest, this is one of the better domestic ones that I've ever had. So I'm going to have to give it stylistically like a low 4.5 out of 5. I'll go 4.45 out of 5, almost a 4 or 5. Stylistically, this is a great beer. Personal preference, again, I've mentioned this so many times, and I'll mention it in all my Oktoberfest reviews, just so you guys know where I'm coming from. I always like to be honest, when I'm talking about a beer, and I've said this in all my reviews, Oktoberfest beers, not my favorite style. Just to, 100% honest and transparent, just not one of my favorite styles. So that's why I rate it to style and then rate it to personal preference, because style is typically always going to be higher. In the Two Roads review, it was kind of flipped, but typically these are going to get higher in the style just because it's not a style I enjoy. So I feel like I should say, how well is this brewed to style, even though I don't really care for the style. So this is a 4.45 out of 5 stylistically. Flavor-wise, though, this is one of the better, like I said, domestic Oktoberfest that I've had, from the balance, the flavors, just how it's executed. So I have no problem giving Von Trapp's Oktoberfest a high 4 out of 5 and go 4.1 out of 5. It's a really good score for me. I think that would be similar to somebody giving it like a 4.3 or 4.4. I'd say take it basically a quarter grade and subtract it from an Oktoberfest, because that's kind of where I am with it. But a 4.1 out of 5 for personal preference, and then a 4.45 out of 5 for style is one of the better and higher numbers that I've given to a domestic Oktoberfest beer. So kudos to Von Trapp. Now it makes me really excited to go drink the rest. Not that I wasn't already. I clearly said I was at the beginning of this one, but man, this is just really good. I'm going to drink the rest of this probably in no time as well. Price and availability. I have no idea on the availability outside of, we see them now here in Western New York, whether you're in Rochester or Buffalo, you should see Von Trapp stuff. I'd imagine they got distribution to some parts of the Northeast, so if you're in the Northeast part of the United States and you see any of the Von Trapp beers, give them a go. I think they're worth it based on word of mouth, but what some of my friends have said about them, but drinking this one, yeah, for sure. And price point, $11.99 six-pack, $2 a can for something as good as this. I've paid, the Two Roads one was $2.50 for a 16-ounce can, so probably similar price point. I would grab this one all day, every day over that one. That one was just okay, solid. This one's fucking really good. So yeah, appreciate everybody stopping by for another beer review here on the Beer Patrol. If you've had this one before, anything from Von Trapp, let me know your opinions on them. I can't wait to to get into the rest of the ones that I already grabbed and give them proper reviews, because this one, pretty damn tasty. Anyway, cheers.